morning. Happy Black Friday. Hope everybody had a great Thanksgiving. This is the Pitch Eye Chronicles. I'm Uncle Tats. I'm here with Rob. And we just hope that everybody did enjoy their time with their families. If they did, take the time to enjoy the blessings that we have. And one of the blessings that we have is all of you guys. We want to give a very special thank you to all our friends. Most people call them subscribers. We call them friends. So it's something that we never expected it to get this far. Our goal was to just keep building and building, but it's you guys that have really made this whole thing worth the grind. So thank you to all of you. Rob, how you doing, bro?
Doing okay. Like you just said, thank you to everybody that's here with us every single morning we do this, whether it's just Tats by himself or if it's Donald and myself or it's me and Tats or whatever combination of the three of us you get, or you're joining the ladies for the Sunday show. You guys are always there. Even at midnight, you see people joining in to talk with you and Sunil. And I don't know who wants to talk to Sunil that much, but apparently people want to hear what he's got to say. But everyone tunes in. Pinstripe Express as well with you and Mazza. Everybody, it's a great community here. We're so happy to have you guys. So let's have a good show today.
That's it. That's all it's about. We're going to be talking about some, the Yankees. We're talking about, maybe we'll bring up some of our, the moments in Yankee history that make us thankful to be a fan. So we want to just make this about you guys because you guys are the driving force. So with that being said, let's get this link into the chat, and we will start our open panel straight away. And let's give you guys the stage. You guys deserve it. You guys have grinded it out with us. It's your time to shine. So, Rob, when you're hearing the three things that I think are the most prevalent when it comes to the Yankees and this offseason is Cashman needs to take a step back while Hal needs to take a step forward. I think that's the one thing, if we had to pinpoint what's going to make this offseason that much better, that's got to be the key.
I mean, yeah, but I also want to see Cashman step up as well. I don't want him to. He's still the GM, whether we like it or not. We can't change that. We can't take his job away from him as much as we'd like to. And I want him as the GM to step up. I want him to realize that there have been mistakes that he's made. I want him to go out there and try to correct those mistakes the best way he can. So it's not so much that I want Cashman to just take a back seat to Hal. I want both of them to actually be lock in step with each other and how to get this team back to where it needs to be. So if Hal wants to take more of a role and be, aligned with Cashman more often, then great. But I don't want to see Cashman necessarily be like, no, you do you, I'll just collect a check, because then what's he there for? So I want Cashman to get himself going, and get this team back where it needs to be. And if it takes Hal having to have more of a role, then so be it. But I don't want to see our GM just be like, you do it, you got it, I'll sit back and watch. I want the GM to step up. That's what we're asking him to do. If you're going to be here, then do your damn job and do it right. So hopefully he does. This is his chance to do it this offseason.
Yeah. And we got Donald with us now. Donald, how is everything going? We started. I want to give you a minute before we bring up, because we have a couple of people already backstage for the open panel, which we'd love to do. Rob and I had talked in our sentiment about our appreciation for what people call subscribers. I call them friends. If what's your message to everybody that has helped support this channel and what we do?
Well, it's a community, it's a family. As you see, Uncle Tats it's like friends, and it's great to watch everybody join in and share their thoughts, and it's just really cool. It's exciting, and I want to say a big thank you to everyone who loyally watches our show. and let's continue to grow it, and continue to have exciting Yankee seasons. We can't promise that they're going to win, as we didn't last year, but it doesn't matter. We got our little friend group here, and it's cool. We are a family. It's awesome.
Well, the first on the board for the open panel is our good friend, never misses a show. He sleeps less than I do. Let's get Jonathan up here. Jonathan. Now, this is a family. Jonathan, we appreciate you as always. As we bring everybody in, it is Thanksgiving, and this is how the family all spent. This is how we spend time with each other as family. But what if you had to say one thing about what makes you thankful to be a Yankee fan? One thing, what is it?
Well, thankful. I mean, I'm thankful that the Yankees at least have a determination to win, at least in the public eye. I want to see it in regards to what they do with moves, but at least they have an owner that cares about winning more than just pocketing the money. Most of the time, at least. I'm not too happy that, of course, they partnered with all these things out of baseball. That's something that they could do in their own personal time aside from the Yankees. I'm talking about the Steinbrenner. But no, there won't be any F-bombs. Sorry for that. That was a one time because, you know.
And you'll never live it down.
I know everybody would love me to do just. I don't know. Everybody remembers that, and that will always be public information now because of open panels. But you know, that was a thing about the Cashman and not making moves, and you know, as I was saying, one part that the Yankees seem to forget, and I hope they remember it, to bring that back to George Steinbrenner. You know, everybody remember when Pedro Martinez said the Yankees were my daddy, and then we beat him in the playoffs. So that type of Yankee is what the Yankees I want to see, and not the Yankees that get kicked out in the first round of the playoffs or don't make the playoffs.
No, I think that's what it comes. Is they do have that determination to be on top. Unfortunately, the leadership right now just lacks that ability.
Yeah, well, from what I remember hearing is that because of the new stadium, they have a lot of debt, and that, as according to them, has constrained them from making more moves. I don't know if that. I don't know how true that is. I don't know if the new owner of the Yankees they brought in will help them see things in a different perspective than they have been in the last 12 years, and bring back more of that Steinbrenner. We're going to use our money to kick everybody's ass and get the best players regardless of the payroll way. But you tell me this, is losing 10 spots in the draft worth winning a World Series? I think so. What do you think?
Of course. I mean, listen, we can't keep talking about paying back the stadium. It was opened in 2009. It's been 14 years. Let's.
But I think the only reason why I brought it up is I think I heard Hal in that.
No, you're right. You're spot on. I mean, Hal brought up Bondsman like a couple of off seasons ago. Hal talks himself into these problems because he mentions it. No one else talked about Bondsman until Hal Steinbrenner brought up Hal Steinbrenner.
That's the one. That's the one difficulty we had when Hank no longer came, because Hank probably would have kept that George Steinbrenner-esque spending habits, and everybody else in baseball would still be knocking on the Yankees like I don't know.
Well, Hank got pushed out of the of the organization slowly because of the A-Rod contract, which he basically kind of led himself.
Yes.
When
Well,
A-Rod
that
opted out, Brian
A-Rod,
Cashman's like, I'm not re-signing him. And then Hank Steinbrenner went and did it anyway. And the Yankees kind of shifted him out and in favor of Hal.
and that was maybe one of the last times Cashman really. I don't know. I really, honestly, I think the Yankees would be better if they got a different GM. I think so. I think they need a new mindset in the GM office. I think Cashman has been around for far too long.
Mm-hmm.
How many people keep a job in baseball for what, 25 years now? So
I mean, respect to him for that, but I mean, yeah, he's been in it far too long.
you can't operate in the 1990s in the 20s and 2020. Baseball has changed so much in the last 25 years. You cannot have the same mindset as when you first started. And that's the problem with Cashman. I don't think he's adjusted to the new mindset of thinking, because you see a team like the Rays and other teams, I forget which one, the Rays come top of mind, that keeps on winning with a payroll under 100 million every year. And that's what the Yankees should think about. They should rebuild with the farm system, but also bring in pieces like Soto to complement the farm system. So we have a mixture like we did in 96 of veterans and rookies that can win.
That's right, man. I mean, the Astros have changed GMs and they keep winning. That's a perfect example right there. I don't think Cashman is objective now. After 25 years, it's hard to be objective about your own performance, about your own job performance. And I think that what I've noticed is he seems to be late to the party. It's not like he's not willing to change, because he is trying, but he overcorrects. Like, for instance, when he when obviously the Moneyball kind of thing came in, the analytics came in, he overcorrected. He went all in instead of maybe kind of applying parts of it. He went all in, and that was a part of it. Another thing, like for instance, when they were saying, "Oh, the Yankees, they don't have enough contact hitters," well, he overcorrected and he brought in too many dudes like IKF and things like that, and then suddenly you're looking at a dearth of power.
Yeah, and they also traded
that's kind of what he does, man. He overcorrects. It's just he seems late to situations, and then he's reactive rather than proactive. And that's just been something that Brian Cashman's been doing for years now. He's incredibly reactive. He doesn't foresee events. He doesn't foresee a problem like not having a left fielder. So he overcorrects and he seems late to the party. And at times he gets priced out of trades or priced out of the free agent market because he seems late to situations.
That's why the Yankees have to.
Jonathan, hold that thought, Jonathan, because we got a couple of people still waiting backstage that I want to bring in. All right, so we're gonna get NFE on the stage. NFE, how is everything going, my friend?
What's up, guys? Yeah, it's going, man. I'm enjoying this day off. I had a great night last night, so everything's good, man. Life is good.
That's good, bro.
And you see, Mazza is here also, who is my co-host with the Pinstripe Express. So we always appreciate how this community just continues to grow. Now, on what Jonathan was talking about with the GM and his role and where the seasons have gone, what's your take on that?
Wow, that's a interesting question. I would say I think that the most frustrating part is that Cashman continues to gaslight us and not take that responsibility that Donald has been talking about, that you have been talking about, that everyone's been talking about. That to me is the most frustrating, because as a GM, you're there to do one thing and one thing only, and that is to get those pieces approved by your owner that you can get to make the team better, and he hasn't done that. And Donald's absolutely right when he says he's more reactive than proactive, because if you think about it, the last few moves that he has made have been more of a reactive move instead of a proactive. So not getting a left fielder and putting IKF in left field when we should have gotten a left fielder. So that's how I look at it.
Yep.
And if your thought,
I mean, Cashman needs to do something. 14 years is too long to go without a championship. So, unfortunately, he's not going anywhere. He's here. So he's our GM. He's the Yankees GM. You just hope that this offseason he finally gets his head up his ass and starts acquiring players, or if not him, Hal steps in and puts his big boy pants on and makes things happen. So that's really my thoughts with Cashman. I mean, I know a lot of fans, including myself, were frustrated with this with them, but hopefully this is the off season that finally puts a fire under him.
Rob, what's your opinion on all of this? You've been kind of
I mean, we've sounded like broken records for the last 4 years complaining about our GM. So I don't know what else there really is to say about the guy. I hope that I said at the start of the show, I just hope that this is the off season where he wakes up and get this team back to the playoffs first and foremost, and get this team back to a World Series. They have all the means to do it. They have all the resources to do it. Now I just got to put it together. They should be the off season where they're really trying to get back, because you had your worst season in 3 decades, and it still was a winning season. I get it, but that's nothing to celebrate. You still didn't make the playoffs. You were barely over 500. You still got a good roster, and you have a chance to make it a really damn good roster. Make it a championship caliber roster. And they have all the resources to do it. You got the money, you got the prospects, you got the major league ready talent you can trade away to get other players here or restock the farm system if you want to. Go and do it. There's nothing that should be stopping you. If you have to raise that payroll a little bit more than you want to, then so be it, because the Yankees have all the money in the world. I don't want to hear this they're in debt nonsense. They're the richest franchise in baseball, one of the richest franchises in sports. They make money hand over fist every single game they're at the stadium. So, and even beyond that, with the sales of jerseys and hats and shirts and everything else, these goddamn things, these bobbleheads. So they're going to make money. So I don't want to hear it. If you need to raise it a little bit to get Juan Soto, go do it. If you got to put a little bit extra to get Yamamoto, go do it. You got a real chance to make this team a championship team. This is the offseason to do it. Go be the Yankees. That's what everyone's been saying, and I'm going to repeat that as well. Go be the Yankees, because you are the Yankees. Stop trying to be Tampa Bay. You're not.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, when you look at what the overall identity is, we started talking about this more this offseason. That they are in an identity crisis, and this is that year. This is going to be that offseason that they're either going to further fall into oblivion and just be another good team in the AL, not the best, or they can really bring themselves back to glory. We've all talked about with the free agents and the trades that can be made, but as far as the philosophy of the overall team of the team overall, I think is the biggest thing that needs to be fixed first. So, NFB, I want to get your take on it. As far as with the philosophy of the Yankees, what needs to be done first?
So, as far as what needs to be done first, I mean, I think their first order of business is to, go out and spend, just go back to the old Yankees mentality of just get the best players you can possible. Hopefully this first order of business, hopefully they do sign Yamamoto. I know he's going to visit the Yankees here soon, probably in the next couple of weeks or so. Hopefully that sets the stage for them. Hopefully that's the domino that falls. I know there was like an article that came out saying that Yamamoto wants to play with another Japanese player. Which
Yeah, how much thought do you put in that?
How much thought do I put into it? I feel like it might put a little bit of a block on the Yankees, but I feel like when he visits, hopefully they give him, the 5-star treatment. And I say money talks. If the Yankees can give him a fat contract, he's not going to say no.
That's true.
Yeah, if they give him a lucrative contract, I don't think he's going to reject it. And the other thing we always talk about too is if you bring in a star player to the Yankees, imagine all the fans in the stadium and the merchandise sales, right? They're gonna make they're gonna make a boatload of money, and Yamamoto, I know every good player, every big name, they're gonna go where they get the most money. I know a year ago, I know Aaron Judge wanted to be a Yankee, even though he was offered more money, but he wanted to be a Yankee. But he's getting paid well. But I think if the Yankees, impress Yamamoto and they give him a lucrative contract, I don't think he's going to say no. I mean, regardless if they have another Japanese player or not.
So
the best example is when we went into the CC Sabathia negotiations. We heard he's a West Coast guy. He wants to sign the West Coast. Yeah. Brian Cashman, to his credit, refused to leave the room until he got CC. He did not want to leave it open for another team to bid. So when he had that meeting with CC, he's like, I'm not leaving here until we make a deal. So what's it going to take for us to get this deal to happen? And he got it done. That's the kind of balls on the table, money on the table kind of way that we need to negotiate with Yamamoto. If he needs to sign with Japanese guy, then we'll just need to tout the fact that we've got Matsui, Tanaka, and Ichiro in the past. Matsui still has a connection to the Yankees. And then we've got the Japanese minority owner, which we could continue to maybe use as a pawn in this. And hey, his potential catcher could be Higashioka. So there's ways in which we can tout it, but it's just, as you say, money talks, man. Put that money on the table.
So what is your projected contract for Yamamoto? What do you think the Yankees could sign him for? What do you think the Yankees could sign Yamamoto for? What is his projected contract by the Yankees?
I think a 7-year, $240 million overall. I think that would get it done. That gives him $30 million a year. If you have to throw in a
that's more than $30 million
for him.
7 for $240 is more than $30 million a year.
What is it? 8 for $240 is $30 million. What do you think, Boston?
So just a couple things. One, Donald, you forgot Kuroda because we did have Kuroda as well.
No.
And two, I'd say probably about 8 for about 240 will get the job done. I do think, and I've said this multiple times, Tats has heard me say this, even in our group chat, I've said it. We will end up with Yamamoto because I think this is where he wants to play. He has, even with the whole Stanton thing, he still had no objection to coming here. So that should say something about the kid's character and the kid's integrity, that it doesn't matter what is heard. He wants to play and find out for himself what it's actually like to play under the big spotlight. So I give him credit for that. So I think we're ending up I think we're getting Yamamoto and Soto. I think we're getting both of them this year. I think Hal is tired of having his name dragged through the mud and is going to put the balls to the wall, put that money down, and he's going to do what he can to make this team better because he doesn't want to be embarrassed like he was last year.
Essentially spend like it's 2008.
Yep. NFP, your thought?
So contract-wise, I'm right there with you there, Tats. 240 for either about 7 or 8 years, which puts him a little over 30 million. I mean, you know, he's 25. I think that's what it's going to take to sign him. I saw Li's comment. He said 10 years for 300. I would include an opt-out in that contract. You know, at
The
after
fifth year,
five,
maybe.
yeah, after 5 or 6. Yeah, I'm thinking 5
Yeah.
personally. I would do an opt-out for him and have him and see if he wants to go out there and test the market.
But do you think that, because we talked about the contracts the other day, in detail, but with the report that Donald said about how he wants to play with the Japanese player, or he doesn't, like, does that change the narrative or does that change the confidence in the Yankees that they can land him?
No, because he didn't say that it has to be with another Japanese player. He said he wouldn't mind doing it. I think it might have been FJ. Someone just brought it up in the chat, but the whole article puts more context into it. So he wouldn't mind for sure, but like Donald brought up the fact that we've had several very good players come over from Japan, not in the not too distant past. So it wasn't that long ago that Matsui was here and he was loved universally by every single Yankee fan. Even the few years we had Ichiro, they loved him. Tanaka, of course, Kuroda, as Fortrain brought up. So he knows that there's success here and that the Yankees are a special organization. Players have come over from Japan, had success with the exception of Keigawa. But hey, I don't think that's going to deter him because not everybody in the league has a Japanese player on their team. The Mets have one, and I know he would love to be teammates with Kodai Senga, which is Senga's really pushing for the Mets to go get him. But if that's the case, then he's going to limit himself to like a handful of teams, and I don't think that would be a smart thing to do. So if he were to tell teams you have to have a Japanese player or I'm not signing, then it's really down to the Mets and like 2 or 3 other teams maybe.
Boston now has a chance.
And that's why I've been bringing up Boston a lot, Chicago as well. So there are teams that would sign him for sure that can say, hey, we have another Japanese player, but I don't think he would do that because then he's going to leave a lot of money potentially on the table from other teams because the Yankees could give him that extra year if they wanted to. Maybe they do something similar to what they did with Garrett Cole where they have an opt-out, but if they add an extra year onto it, he can't opt out or something like that. But yeah, if the Yankees come calling and the Met, let's say the Mets give him 225 over 8, and the Yankees say we'll go 8 for 240. You think he's going to pass up more money just because the Mets have Kodai Senga? I don't know if he would do that. So sometimes money talks, and sometimes it doesn't. We'll see. It's really about what he wants, but what he was saying basically was it would be nice, but I don't think it's going to be the one deciding factor. Because then, like I just said, there's only so many teams that could say we have a Japanese player on our roster right now. He'd limit himself, and he's too good of a player to limit himself so early in his free agency.
Talking about money, LI Yankee King, we actually discussed this in our last podcast. That 10-year, $300 million contract would be my first offer. That's your first offer? So you're willing to go up from there? Up from 10-year, $300 mil?
Yeah.
You are talking like that's Aaron Judge, Garrett Cole territory right here. I mean, I'm sorry, I'm not. I'm out on that. You're not going 10 years on someone who's not proven himself yet on the major league level. Yeah. That's completely insane. But I'll hand it off to the panel. 10 years, $300 million. Do you guys think that that's insane?
I think that's yeah. That's the
my highest offer on the road. 13 years, 325.
No,
that's insane.
Go across the board.
Stanton's contract.
That's insanity. Where does it stop? I mean, that's just flat out insanity. There's no way I'm offering him 10 for 300 as my first offer.
He's at his highest would be 13. 13 years?
No. My highest is like
go to 15.
Oh my god.
My highest is like 9 for 275, but that's the very most I can do.
You want Yamamoto pitching in his 40s for Christ's sake? Oh my God!
And
LI.
even then, I'm
Oh.
still adding that opt-out clause. That's insanity.
Yeah. Li, yeah.
So-
I mean, I appreciate your takes, man, but I gotta disagree with this one too, bro.
Dude, by the end of his contract, he'll be throwing underhand. He'll be throwing softball.
I have a feeling any Yamamoto contract will have an opt-out clause.
What was the contracts we got Tanaka on? What was that? What was that deal?
7/155, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
so 7/155. Like
Yeah, I
for
think
Tanaka,
that
that was a good deal. Like I wouldn't. I mean that. I don't know. That's pushing it. 10 for 300. I don't know how to. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know how to
Put up 2
dissect
more
that
years,
either,
LI.
Mazza.
Go to 15.
Jonathan.
Go to 15.
I mean, Li saying that would take him to 38, but man, that's
Oh, that's okay
Yeah.
then. Oh, geez. Sorry.
40. I'm just saying.
Ah, forgive me. Forgive me.
I don't think
Now,
13
if he
year
was,
contracts are going to be happening anytime soon, especially after Stanton. But Harper got one, but also Harper was what, 25,
26.
26?
So he was still on the right side of 30, but
Yeah, and Stanton, well, how old was Stanton when he got his contract? 28?
28 or 29 or something like that.
So giving Stanton a 13-year contract was pure insanity. Even when I first heard A-Rod's contract in 2000 giving a 10-year 252, when I first heard that, I thought that was crazy. And now 10-year contracts are the norm for high-priced players.
I would. That's.
Yeah.
I don't know. I just had. There's something that rubs me about those contracts the wrong way, especially when they're that close to 30. It doesn't make sense to do. Now,
No.
the only player I would even consider that thought would enter my head would be a Juan Soto because he's just that good. Everybody else, I don't. That's just not something that's not realistic. Let's come back to the planet Earth for a second. We're not dealing with. Yes, we have Juan Soto. But we don't actually have him on the Yankees. But that would be the one guy that would
You know,
even.
the,
should
I
even
think
be.
the only guy who really made up for his contract after getting a 10-year deal was probably Derek Jeter.
Yeah.
And if
Absolutely.
the Yankees ever gave Mariano a 10-year contract when he was 30 years old, he would have also made up for it.
Yeah.
yeah.
But those
I
are
don't
the
think-
only two
Those are
guys
Hall of
who
Fame
really.
players. Those are Hall of Famers. Those
Yeah.
are once in a generation. We
Yeah,
can't
so
give
those,
that.
those are two type
don't know
players
yet.
that were worth every single dollar that was spent on them.
Hmm. Oh yeah, they're worth.
Yeah.
Jeter was worth every penny.
Yeah, FJ throws this question into the chat, and if you have a question you want us to go around the table with, drop it down. So he asks, "How will Hal react to getting into bidding war with Cullen?" You know, it's Jonathan. If it really comes down to Hal and Cullen going into a bidding war, who walks away on top?
I think Hal will do what he can, but Cohen is scary because he seems like a smarter version of Hal, in my opinion. But I think at the end of the day, the Yankees' history might win that bet. Maybe if it's very close. I think the history of the Yankees and I think they also have to bring in Matsui and Tanaka to help the Yankees. There also the fact that they have the owner, the minority owner, he will have to play a big part in getting Yamamoto. If they don't utilize the minority owner, and I don't even know his name, then first of all, that is dumb business. And second of all, why did you bring him here for if you're not getting Yamamoto?
Let's open this up to the panel because it's an interesting point. Do the rest of the panel think that Cohen is quote unquote smarter than Hal Steinbrenner? Because I get the feeling the Mets have actually underachieved since Cohen's taken charge. He's put a lot of money into it, but they haven't really taken a step forward.
Well,
In many
It
ways,
seems like you're taking that step back. I see where you're going. I've seen where Donald is going with this.
And I'm like, like
I think Cohen.
he hired the wrong GM, and that was a wrong move. They've already had to change managers because it hasn't worked out. The players, the locker room was just not working out last year at all. He made a bunch of terrible signings, signing two dudes touching 40 as a starting pitchers, and that backfired. So it looks to me like he thinks that, if I just put enough money into this, I'll be fine. But there's a lot more to it than that. And to be fair to Hal Steinbrenner, he does have a big baseball ops, and he knows that he isn't the smartest baseball guy. So he opens it up to baseball guys to go and do the job. Unfortunately, we haven't done the job, but at least he's smart enough to know that. I think Cohen is a baseball fan, but he doesn't really know the ins and outs of the business.
Yeah,
I think Cohen has made the same mistake that Joe Steinbrenner did after 1980. He went out and just spent every year on the top free agent without any system to build a team, and he lost by signing all those free agents. He lost a lot of first-round draft picks. If you go look between 1981 and 1988, how many times the Yankees did not have a first-round draft pick because they signed a high-priced player and on the wrong side of his career?
NFP, what do you think?
And we're still talking about FJ's question, yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. So I don't think Cal is. I think he could get into a bidding war with Cohen. I don't think that's going to be an issue for him. And it shouldn't be an issue for him. No. And it's just like Donald brought up. I mean, yeah, Cohen spends a lot of money on players, but they've taken a step back, and we saw it this past season, right? They signed a lot of big names. They had a lot of big names, but to only not make it to the playoffs, and they had a terrible record, especially with the team that they had. But I think Hal is going. Like I said, I think he'll outbid Cohen for Yamamoto. I think he's going to do everything he can. The Yankees went to Japan twice to watch this guy pitch. Since when did they make a trip out to overseas to go watch this guy pitch and be like, all right, is this the guy that we want? Do we want to sign this guy? Yankees don't do that. They'll travel nationally, definitely, but they're not going. I mean, to go international, and we're talking what 18-hour flight to Japan. You do that twice, they're serious. They're serious about this player. So,
and then not just that, but the game you go to, he pitches a no-hitter.
Yep.
Yeah.
That is a huge win in front of an organization that is watching you. That's a
good first impression. I got to tell you,
hell of a first impression.
That's a fantastic first impression. You couldn't ask for a better performance. I mean, which is that's rare, right? But I think I think the Yankees are going to do everything they can to sign this guy, and they need another starter. And if there's something, and this is where I'll give Brian Cashman a little bit of credit. If there's something that Brian Cashman is good at, that's getting pitchers. He is good at getting pitchers. I mean, especially for the bullpen. So I do think that he will. Him and Hal, I'm including Hal in all of this because I feel like Hal is going to be heavily involved this offseason.
Yeah.
I think those two guys are going to do everything they can to get Yamamoto to be the number 2 starter in that rotation.
I would go as far as to say they kind of have to sign Yamamoto. It would be a crippling loss in an offseason if they go all the way to Japan, see him pitch a no-hitter, and then come back empty-handed without a contract.
It's going to hurt.
To get done.
But listen, he pulled over on the side of the road. He's waiting to put his 2 cents in. Let's get Damien in here. Damien, how have you been, bro?
Oh, good. How is everybody, man?
Good.
What's up,
Good.
Damien?
How was
Obviously,
everybody
you jumped in. You
Thanksgiving?
got something to say. It was
Oh
awesome.
man. Oh, good. Guys, I think Cohen. I know Cohen's made some bad decisions, but the guy was smart enough to pull out. You know what I mean?
He was.
The David Stern signing as his new GM was a big thing for the Mets. What he was able to do with that small market team of the Brewers, who obviously don't have the pockets of Cohen, was nothing short of absolutely impressive. Those guys have won the division in that division for the last couple of years, and that's ahead of the Cardinals. So we can't sleep on Mr. Cohen. His pockets are deep. He's shown that he is absolutely not scared to throw his put his money where his mouth is. So, and I think with Hal and Mr. Cashman, there's a line that's going to be drawn on the sand for Yamamoto. And the one thing they're going to bank on is supposedly the Yankee lure, is the pinstripes. That is what they're going to bank on to lure this guy, the Tanakas and the Pettits of the world, to these meetings. That's what I think is going to, close the deal, if the deal is going to get closed for the Yankees for Yamamoto. As far as money, I don't think that's what's going to get it done because, like I said before, Cohen has proven you're going to give somebody who's in their 40s a $50 million contract like Max Scherzer. He's not scared to spend it. Now, imagine somebody who's 25 years old, what he's going to spend. So, he made some bad decisions, but he was a smart enough owner to say, listen, I know I made a bad decision. I'm going to cut my ties and I'm going to move on and bring people in our organization that's going to make a difference, where Hal has not done. Hal's not proven since he's not cutting Cashman and those ties, Hal's proven he's not willing to do that.
That's a great
Cohen
point.
has.
How's terrified to make any kind of decisions?
Yeah, exactly. And believe me, I'm the first one that I want Yamamoto. And I hope to God that Hal says to himself, all right, I'm not going to lose to Cohen. However, let's all face it, Hal's soft.
Oh, he's very soft.
He's soft as a Twinkie filler. So,
that's why I don't put too much stock in this idea that he's so desperately embarrassed. Because if he was that embarrassed by this past season, he would have made changes. But he
I don't buy it either.
Down on the changes. He's like, "Oh, big changes are happening," and the only change that I can see is a bench coach.
Yeah, the locker room.
There's been no changes. He's been terrified. He was like,
got new couches. That's the change.
He excused Brian Cashman. He excused some of the most awful trades in the history of the Yankees. He said, "Oh, look at all the great trades that Cashman's made recently."
That's a big criticism.
He just crippled the franchise with Josh Donaldson.
That's a big criticism I have
the
from last year. Last year they didn't make any changes. There's no big changes between the 2022 team and the 2023 team.
Yeah. No, there wasn't. Absolutely not.
But Damien, what you brought up sparked a question that I want to go around the panel and ask. With Cohen's I don't want to say missed out on free agents. I mean, Scherzer and Verlander were big market guys. The fact that he had to kind of pull back a little bit and just kind of reevaluate how he was acquiring players and putting the money into them, does that change his philosophy and cause him to maybe be a little more gun shy and not just throw the money around, but try to make better baseball decisions where money is going to come into play because of the Cohen tax? Or is he just so stupidly rich he don't care? Donald, what do you think? We'll go around.
I do actually agree with LI here. The Yankees lure so far in the past, I don't think free agents look at the Yankees.
Exactly.
That's a brilliant point, man. That's what Zach Britton recently said.
Exactly.
He's been canvassing free agents and canvassing players around the league, and they're all like, it's not the same team. And we're not afraid to go to Yankee Stadium anymore. We're not afraid to play there, and I don't particularly want to sign there. That's a big thing to admit, and it's kind of scary. It shows how far the Yankees are in the past, and it kind of shows the bunker mentality the Yankees have because they still think that they're the old Yankees of the '90s and the '70s and the '50s and they still think that, but they don't act that. They still say, "Oh, we're the Yankees," but what have you done recently to make it more attractive to other teams or make it more attractive to the fans? Because they've been pissing on us for years, saying we're a problem when all we do is continue to pay hand over fist to sit in luxury seats and to pay all your chicken buckets to go to these games and to watch Jake Bowers and all these freaking dudes like McKinney and some truly terrible teams, and we continue to root for this team. So, yeah. And then they say things like, "Oh, the league is catching up on us," when they haven't won anything in about 10 years. So end this nonsense that they're still the Yankees of old. They're not. They're just like
No.
every other team now. The Marlins
That's what
have won
scares me about Hal.
The Marlins have won as many championships as the Yankees have since 2009. So let's stop this nonsense. We need to start being professional. We need to start being proactive, and we need to stop being arrogant. That's our big thing. We need to stop being arrogant. It's okay to admit when you're just not that good anymore. Make changes to be that good anymore. They should. As Rob said, I don't know where Rob is now, but as Rob said, there's no reason why we can't be the Yankees of old. We've got everything at our disposal. Unlimited funds and resources.
It's true.
But it takes not being arrogant. It takes being accountable, and it takes being objective about your own job performance. And I don't think the Yankees are. I think from what I understand, I think people probably held Cashman to account in these behind closed doors meetings, and I think it pissed Cashman off, and then he started ranting at the media and the fans again, like as we saw in that ridiculous press conference. So he's not objective. He's the last person that's objective. So that's what I'm concerned about. I know it's exciting to talk about free agents. It's exciting to talk about Yamamoto, and exciting to talk about what moves we can make and stuff like that. And we still think that this is the Yankees of old, but the Yankees of old would have made changes after this past season. This was our worst season in 3 decades. The Yankees of old would have made some serious decisions. In fact, every other team in the majors would have made changes if you fall so far short of the expectations. And they didn't. So how are the Yankees that embarrassed? I haven't seen any evidence this offseason that they're that embarrassed. So I don't want to be negative. I'm just trying to add context. It seems to me that the Yankees are doubling down a little bit rather than anything. And as far as I'm concerned, listen, I want us to sign all the best players, and it will make us a better team. But until they start being objective and start putting together a better front office and a better coaching staff, and it doesn't matter who we could have, but we can put out the 2009 Yankees, and it'll still be an underachieving team because it doesn't matter what personnel you got. If it stinks from the top, it's going to filter down, and it still stinks from the top.
Oh yeah.
All right, Jonathan, your turn to go. Rant away, buddy. And watch your language.
Can you repeat the question?
Do you think that Cohen has been humbled, pretty much, to summarize it, with the way that he spends money? He spent money on Scherzer and Verlander.
Well,
Do you think that he's learning from his mistakes and it'll be more calculated?
yes, I think he understands money is not the only way to build a franchise. I honestly think Cohen made a similar mistake that Steinbrenner did in basically the 80s, where Steinbrenner almost every year in the 80s, signed a top-notch player. And if you know the Yankee draft history like I do, you will see in the 1980s they lost so many number 1 draft picks because they signed the top free agent. And at the end of that decade, they were a last place team with the first pick in the draft in 91. You cannot build a team with only free agents. You have to build a team with good free agents, smart, and a strong farm system. So I think after this year, I think that's what Cohen has learned with selling off pieces. I just wish the Yankees did the same thing. For example, I would trade Gleyber Torres when his stock is very high. I think they could replace Torres with someone from the farm system. But Torres has one more year left, I believe. And if you have no plans to resign him long term, I would just let him trade him for someone that could be helpful next year, not the. I don't know. I can't finish my
All
thought.
right. All right, NFE. Same to you.
So I think Cohen will be a little more calculated in this free agency. In when acquiring players or trading for players. We like I mentioned earlier, we all saw what happened when he signed all these big names. It turned into nothing, right? And the other thing I want to bring up too is, Jonathan brought it up. You have to, just because you spend a lot of money on a player, it's not going to necessarily guarantee a World Series, right? I mean, we saw like a team like the Padres. They had a team full of all-stars. Like they had a lot of big names. They had Juan Soto. They had Bogarts. They had Tatis Jr. But it didn't turn into anything. They still didn't make the playoffs. I mean, they finished with a not a great record, right? So when to the original question, I think Cohen is going to be. I think he'll be a little smarter in how he spends his money and who he decides to spend his money on. I mean, he could get anybody he wants, I'm sure, like, no doubt. I mean, he's got the money to do so, but as we saw this past year, it didn't pay off at all, and when you look at it on paper, they actually, they were projected to be better than the Yankees, I feel like, but it didn't turn out that way. So you have to build a team. You have to build a team. It's not going to just you're not just going to sign a player or two players and be like, all right, we got this. Like, you have to see how there needs to be some sort of like chemistry on the team for everybody to perform well. So there needs to be a team camaraderie.
Yeah, let's move on from the Mets. Let's get back to free agency. Damien, which kind of free agent targets would you look at? Maybe some under the radar guys that interest you for the Yankees.
Candelario for sure.
Yep.
I think he'd be somebody solid. If you get rid of Torres, you got to go out and sign Candelario. And of course, he's going to cost a little bit less too. He's going to give you the same type of production, probably a little bit of a better glove. Kiermaier, only as a stopgap. I'm worried about that with the track record of Cashman.
Yeah,
with a la IKF. So, a couple under the radar relief pitchers. The kid from Japan as well. The closer, I forget his name, but he's
Matsui?
somebody.
Matsui?
Yeah, Matsui. I think he's somebody that they could definitely go after. They need Clay Holmes is not a closer.
Exactly.
Definitely a 7th, 8th inning guy. So they need to get away from Clay Holmes being in that role. And besides that, I mean, obviously the get is Yamamoto. And if not that, I don't see them pivoting to Blake Snell. Plus, I think Blake Snell ends up with the Seattle Mariners anyway. And I do think Nestor Cortez will be gone, possibly in the package for Soto. So there's options, but the Yankees got to be really smart, and they got to really go after who they're going after and lock the deals down. So.
Li, I mean, it says we don't need Candelario. Jesus Christ, he blocks Roderick Arias. Bro,
only
you
gonna be for 1
mentioned
year.
like half an hour ago in the comments, we need to win a championship for Cole and for Judge, right? Well, why are you talking about blocking an immediate major league player blocking a prospect when you're trying to look at championships? That's the problem the Yankees are in right now because they've been trying to do both.
No, so
You have to make
Not
a
only that,
decision.
but Candelario, you're only going to sign Candelario for 2-3 seasons.
Exactly.
So
Vince Rodriguez
Arias,
can be available.
Arias is not going to be ready until 2 or 3 seasons. The guy hasn't even
Yep.
played single A ball at this point.
Facts.
So
And
That
you're
doesn't block-
prospect
that
hugging.
doesn't
Why are
block
we still
Arias.
prospect hugging? Why?
you
I don't
know,
understand that. And then
No,
this drives me nuts because we have prospects. They're not all of them are going to pan out. We know this. Why are we prospect hugging? And the fact that they want to trade Torres to get better, okay, I'm all for it. But I don't want to hear them wasting a deal for Lane Thomas off of fucking Washington. We don't need another outfielder. We need pitching. Why are we even bothering going down that road? Go to a team like Miami who has pitching. Try to get a guy like a Yuri Perez or someone. And I'm just using Yuri Perez as an example, Li, so don't jump off
Yeah.
your rocker. But we need but for the love of God, do not entertain an offer from a team that cannot offer you pitching. That's what we need to do.
And not only that, we have a lot of young players that will be exposed to the Rule 5 draft if we don't trade them. So why not trade them before they're exposed to the Rule 5 draft, or else we're getting rid of them for nothing.
Thank
And
you.
one guy that I forgot to mention, for some reason we don't get Soto, and I've brought this up before. The Yankees really need to, Cleveland looks like they're going to sell some people. They need to pivot to Jose Ramirez. And if you're not going to get
Guys,
Soto, you
I'm
need
not
to pivot
opposed to
to.
that.
I'm
you
not
gotta go
against that
after-
either.
The guy's been top MVP, top 5 the last few years.
He's a
The
switch hitter.
dude, switch hitter, fast, plays the field, and he's a leader. So,
Mhm.
if you somehow lose on Soto, there should be no reason why the Yankees don't put a huge package together for Jose Ramirez. And he has a very team-friendly contract at
What
Bobby
would
Ray
that
as well.
package
But
look
here's the thing though, Damian. We can't lose out on Soto, and I'll tell you why.
I
Because
agree.
no other team is willing to give up the package that the Yankees can offer to get
I
a
agree.
Juan Soto.
Yeah.
That has already been put out.
Yep.
I
The
agree.
Cubs don't want to do it. The Mariners don't want to do it. They want to keep the young pitching. But we can offer guys like a Clark Schmidt, a Michael King, a Drew Thorpe, a Chase Hampton, and we can not feel a blow of losing a Dominguez or a Spencer Jones because they don't want that. They want pitching. And we all have that to offer them.
Oh, I agree with you. And not only that, but now they're talking about, sweetening the package with Rizzo. So
adding Rizzo?
Because San Diego said
No,
they
I-
wanted a left-handed bat in return to replace the bat that they're losing in Soto. And fine, you want Rizzo? Take Rizzo. Now you move DJ to first. Now you go out and get Candelario for third.
Yep.
Peraza at second. Volpe at short. There's your infield. Not hard.
Well,
and
And
honestly,
you talk
if
about it as a
Hal
team.
No,
wants
I
to be
think-
Hal, go ahead,
Yankees
Tab.
need to be this as smart as you're saying to make these deals. These type of deals you don't see happen very often in the major leagues. Nobody makes creative deals like we were talking about for Train.
But look at what the Braves just did to get Bummer.
Yes, that is a creative deal, but it's very rare in the major league. But the Yankees have an opportunity to do that, and they should do it.
They need to take every
No, I think-
opportunity they
hold
have
on, I
and
think-
chance. Yeah, go ahead.
I think Eli might be onto something. Let's just give the whole team 25 and under. Let them learn on the major league level and see what they can give us in the next 5 years and see if we can get that championship.
Isn't that what the Marlins did after 2003?
The Marlins tried that after
Yeah, just
2003.
don't
and look,
sign anybody and just
yeah,
promote
and
from
look where it
within.
got them. It got them.
No
it
free
didn't get them
agents,
anywhere.
no trades, just build within.
Mm-hmm.
And not only that,
And
but
I
I
think
think
they'll be
if
just
the
fine.
Yankees get rid of Rizzo, I think that with that salary dump, because Rizzo is going to make 20-some million, Yeah, you're adding Soto, but that also opens the door to bring in Bellinger for your first base.
I believe Rizzo's making 16.
So
He's making 16 this year, and I think he has an option for a third.
Yeah.
And it's a very team-friendly deal, and we know that San Diego's looking to shed payroll. They're not going to be able to afford to pay Soto $35 million a year. We know this. So if they're only paying that $16 million to Rizzo, plus whatever the option is, if he has an option, it looks more team-friendly, and their GM looks like a fucking genius.
oh yeah.
As bad as that sounds, it makes their GM look like a genius because now they've cut their payroll. They can afford to pay, a guy like Rizzo instead of having to struggle to pay for a guy like Soto, who the Yankees could just easily give that money to. And it's a no-brainer. It's almost too perfect of a deal to not make. That's how simple it is. That's how perfect it is. And it's the direction that we need to be in. Right now, Donald, you have said this on several occasions. We are directionless. The Yankees need to pick a direction and go with it.
Facts.
I agree.
Li, I really think you're exaggerating. We're exaggerating this point. It's not the fact that we want to have this team full of older players. You have to have a balance. That's the problem. We don't have a balance. We're either too old or we're too young.
Yeah.
You have to bring in experience to work with the younger players. Otherwise, that's how they develop even better at the major league level. So you think, they put, in the 90s, they were bringing in older players to complement the youth.
Yep.
That's what we need to do. That's the recipe we need to go back to.
Absolutely.
Not just spend.
Can I bring up a prime example of that, Tats? Can I bring up a prime example of that? Look at Cole and
Texas
Clark Schmidt.
Rangers.
Look at Cole and Clark Schmidt. Clark Schmidt was garbage in the first half of the season. Cole took him under his wing, and he looked like a Cy Young Award winner in the second half of the season.
Well, not only that, but look at the
That's
Texas
his point.
Rangers. Look at the Texas Rangers, who they have on that squad and who just won the World Series.
Yeah.
That team is full of veterans and young guys. Full of them.
Yes, it is.
From Corey Seager to Evan Carter. Corey Seager,
Marcus
30
Semien.
years old. Evan Carter, 21 years old. Marcus Semien, Duran, so on and so forth. From the pitching staff all the way through. You have a mix of vets and young guys. All the way on through.
And they didn't even have DeGrom.
Correct.
Healthy.
Exactly.
And they still won it.
See, and I think give us your take.
Yeah, real quick. I was going to say, I mean, I know LI put out a comment saying, Yankees are saying, we need to get younger players. Oh, we're getting, we're signing 30-year-olds. And so, a couple of you guys pointed this out. There needs to be a blend of experience and young players. That's how you win. You're not gonna win with a bunch of young guys. Yeah, you have talent, but they're not. You have to have. There needs to be a veteran presence. There absolutely has to be a veteran presence.
Absolutely.
Bit younger, yeah, they do, but they have to have some older players though that's gonna guide these guys.
Mentor.
The younger guys.
Be mentors.
Yeah, be mentors, exactly. Like Rizzo to Judge, right? And then you brought up Mazza, Cole to Schmidt. So there needs to be that, right? Like if the Yankees get Juan Soto, he could be that
To
that
Jason
mentor.
Dominguez.
Exactly. You bring in Candelario, maybe he could be an influence on like Volpe and Peraza.
The only thing about that statement is what would happen if Dominguez is part of the Soto trade?
He's not going to be.
I don't think so. No,
He's
not
not
at all.
going to be.
Not at all.
Jonathan.
They need
The Padres want
no.
pitching.
they want
We have the
They need
pitching to give them.
pitching. Yeah.
Donald,
They-
what's your take on all this arguing? Let's get your 2 cents. Let's get your 2 cents in. You like to argue.
I've got my 2 cents. You know my 2 cents. I'm in agreement with the panel.
It's this balance. That's it. That's the only word that it comes to.
Yeah.
We want to keep. We want to get all these guys. You want to trade for totem worth. It's going to cost you prospects. If you want to trade, it might not be the same level as Soto, but it's going to cost you guys. But if you want to keep bringing these guys up, you can't move them.
It's supposed to hurt.
So that's look. The best trades hurt. That's it.
Exactly. It's supposed to hurt.
Facts.
It's supposed to hurt. So it's we don't know exactly what the names are going to be involved with some of these guys, but you can't just play your AAA team on the major league level. It doesn't work that way. That's not the way the business operates.
And you can't play guys like Frenchie Cordero every day just to make yourselves try to look better because you made a mistake and try to cover up that fuck up. You can't do that. That's not going to get you anywhere.
No,
because we're not
bring up
stupid.
Yeah, there's only one
Let's not
Tampa
bring up
Bay
the
Rays.
replacements. I'm still very upset about that.
There's only one Rays team, and that's who they are. That's what they do. That's what makes them successful. The Yankees need to be the Yankees and just be who they've always been. And they got away from it. They fixed something that was never broken.
Yep.
And unfortunately, that's the bottom line to it.
The other thing they do is they rely too heavily on analytics, launch angle, exit velo. Who gives a shit? That's not going to help you produce. What is that going to help you hit a ball up the box, back up the box to drive into runs? No. That's just telling you how hard a guy hit the ball and how I hit the ball. Who gives a
That's
shit?
why I do love the
Go
new
back
hitting
to the
coach.
basics.
That's why I love the new hitting coach.
I mentioned this a few weeks ago. The Yankees cannot run the team out of a computer.
No. They can't. You're right,
That's the first thing
Jonathan.
that's got to change.
Fact.
But listen, guys, we had a blast having you guys on with us. We will be doing this a couple more times during the off season. But again, thank you for everybody that came on the panel. Thank you for everybody that was reacting in the comments. You know how much we appreciate you all. Damian, NFE, Jonathan, of
Thank
course,
you.
Maza.
Thank you.
Again, you
Thank
know
you,
how we
Tats.
do it here. Hit that like
Thanks for
button.
the
hit that sub
opportunity,
button.
Tats. Appreciate
Yeah.
it. Everybody hit those hearts.
Thank
Smack
you.
those heart buttons.
Yeah.
Smack those hearts.
So, but like I say, tell your friends, tell your family, tell the stranger on the corner. This is the family to be a part of. And wear those pinstripes with pride and play hard.
Salute.